I'd like to call to order the Monday, August 24th, regular meeting of the Forest School Committee, a special meeting at the Cuss Middle School. Deb, please call the roll.
Mr. Agia?
Here.
Mr. Costa?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
Mr. Hetzler?
Here.
Mr. Corey?
Here.
Ms. Larrabee? Here. Mayor Coogan?
Here. Salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Citizens' input, Deb?
There is nobody
There
signed
isn't
up.
any, okay. Committee of the Whole. This is a discussion and vote to approve the amended FY 2021 budget as presented by Dr. Matthew Malone.
Thank you, School Committee, for calling this special meeting. A very important topic is to discuss the FY 20 budget proposal to the School Committee. Tonight, I've presented you with the line item budget, which represents a level service budget from FY 20 that we originally built and what we call level service through level funding. Over the course of the last 4 months, as we've talked about where we are from when we opened, except between that time and now, the House and the Senate released their Chapter 70 numbers. So tonight we have an official number to adopt. That number is the total number, which I'll get into in a second, is $169,915,118. And that figure represents an increase beyond what our original budget contained. So let me explain that to you. Several months ago, I came through and said, hey, we created this great level service budget at level funding, but we backfilled with CARES money to support and offset Chapter 70 that we're expecting to lose. Plus, we made drastic reductions in operation line items, not people, but line items in order to protect people. The budget that I'm here to share with you tonight restores all of those reductions in operating costs, plus sets aside the $4 million in CARES money. So there is no one-time money involved in the building of this budget. That money is still sitting aside. I use the term in abeyance in reserve for further discussion throughout the year. That's about $4 million. This budget represents an operating budget of slightly north of $137 million, minus the local contribution of almost $33 million. When you total those two together, you get the figure, which is 100% of net school spending, which is the $169.9 million figure. This budget that I'm presenting tonight includes the positions that were added by the school committee at the last two meetings. So that was the special education positions, plus the instructional support positions for each building and one school nurse. Also included in this budget, but at no cost, was the conversion of a world language teacher and to a STEM teacher. There's no cost to that, but it's just a coding difference. All of that is included in tonight's budget. If you turn the pages after the document, you can see that there is a straight line item budget that shows the major categories. And then page 3 of that shows you where we've added back a lot of the line item reductions that we originally cut out, which is about $2.7 million. I know you didn't vote on that, but we built that into the budget when we were originally talking about how we could go forward. So we've restored all those line items to FY 20 levels. Plus, we've added some more money into contingency, into preventative maintenance, and into potential overtime and potential contracted services for operations, given we know what the COVID impact will have on some of those line items. So tonight, Kevin and I, thank God, Kevin's done a great job turning this around in a short period of time. Kevin and I can answer any questions that the school committee has. When you go through this, you'll see that after you go through all the line items, in the back of the proposal also includes a capital forecast. It's very important. Like we started a couple years ago, when we do our annual budget, we also do an annual capital forecast. It's not necessarily a request, it's just saying, here's what we've been thinking about. So you can find that on the last page. And basically it shows a three-year window, looking at capital costs somewhere around $52 million. Now you say, oh my God, that's way too much money, we can never do that. But if we think about long-term strategy, these are the things that we would be talking about once the current slate of projects is over. But there's definitely need in the system. It's safety and security and continual upgrading of windows, roofs, and boilers. I want to thank Ken again for all the work that he's done at those 4 facilities that got the MSBA projects this year. Thank the city for partnering on the ability to do that, and of course, the taxpayer on the Durfee project. So none of that would be possible without everyone's efforts. So as you know, we continue, and Ken will talk about, and we've included in the binders also everything that we've done with operating money to support the city, support the schools over the last fiscal year in terms of capital projects that we've done ourselves. So with that, there's a formal proposal.
Motion to approve as presented?
Seconded.
Discussion? Mr. Costa?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Superintendent, so on page 1, you get your net school spending for fiscal year 2021 at $169,915,018. Obviously, that represents not just the Chapter 70 totals of $137,016,364, but also the local contribution, the $32,898,654. So you add the contribution from the city in Chapter 70, you get the $169,915,018. But on the second page, the school appropriation or the school operating appropriation is $114,789,347.
Yes, sir.
And then obviously, we've already addressed transportation at $11 million.
Yes.
So the $169,915 is not our operating budget.
The 169 is the full budget to include all the city costs.
Correct.
In total.
Indirects as
Yes.
well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to be clear, so when we're making our motion tonight, our motion should reflect the fiscal year 2021 net school spending number of $169,915,018, because that's the city's contribution, indirects, and our operating expense.
So the way it's set up in the city budget, we have to provide them with what the budget is on the city side, which is the $114 million figure that you referenced before.
That's our appropriation, that's our operating budget.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
So our vote tonight should be reflective of the $114,789,347 for FY 2021.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Exactly.
With that, I yield.
Anything further, Kev, then Tom?
Just, you said that the 4 million in CARES is like sort of in advance?
We're holding in abeyance.
Does that have to be spent in current year? What is the restrictions on that?
So there's, go ahead.
So the money, so the way the state has set it up is there are three pots of money. 2 pots of money end as of December 31st. That's the CVRF funds, which I'm going to apply for this week. It's about $2.3 million. That's what they refer to as the $225 per kid that each community is getting. In addition, there's the $548,000, which you guys approved in August for the Remote Technology Essentials Grant that we just received. That ends December. The $4 million CARES money, as of right now, ends June 30th. Now, I believe the grant, if not spent, has a multi-year functionality, so we may have the ability, if we don't spend the full dollar amount this year, to be able to offset future costs as well next year. But in essence, what they refer to as the ESSER grant, which is what we're talking about here, the CARES money, that's to be spent on COVID-related expenses, additional expenses that we didn't have previously in the budget.
Up until June 30th of 2021.
As of right now, yes.
Yeah, but so we have the
Yes.
whole year, basically. It's
Yes, we
nothing
do.
pressured on it now.
Yes, we do.
On the page that shows the breakdown,
Yep.
I see the retired insurance is up by 1.2 million. That's about 6 lines down. Was that because of the FY20 where it says budget? Was not, see how they're almost the same?
Yep. So
In
the,
19, it was 8.4 million and then 8.4 million?
yep.
Was that an actual 8.4 million?
No, it's a budgeted amount. So what's in the FY20 column right now is budgeted. So that's all budgeted as of right now.
Meaning the year
Yeah.
the year that just passed.
Yep. So I believe it's actually a little higher. It's higher than that. It's closer to $9 million, the actual, for the retiree amount. So,
So they actually spent more in the other,
correct.
so it's going to wash out at some point.
Yeah, and it'll be closer to what is budgeted right now.
Hence the reason why 9.6.
Yes.
That's an increase of what you think is going to be spent next year with your best guess.
Yes. Yep.
Can you point to me the line, I know the superintendent mentioned about the contingency?
Yep.
Well,
Continue.
what's left over, like if you,
So contingency is the object 530005, and then preventative maintenance is 53006. So it would have been in that same section there, it's page 2. Next page, yep.
yeah,
So it's, when you look from the left-hand side to the right,
yeah,
contingency 530005.
so 255,
Yes.
and then,
And then 300,000 for preventative maintenance.
which was an increase, and that's not accounted for yet.
It's an increase, yes.
Is there any other increases like that in the
We increased overtime because of not knowing what overtime is going to look like this year due to COVID. And then we increased contracted services by about $200,000 for any additional repairs that'll be needed this year.
And those lines, we can go back and forth
Yes,
during the year?
if need be, yes.
Like workers' comp, I saw 300,000,
Yep,
but if we don't need that, that's money that we can, during the year, figure out.
yep. It's all based on need. The 300,000 is a good representative of what's happened the last few years, so it's a good budget figure.
So, in summary, we basically have everything spent, or everybody brought back 255,000 in contingency.
Yep.
And several lines throughout the budget that have a little bit of play in it.
Yes, and we added back the $2.7 million that we already
Correct.
reduced.
Which has allowed us to keep the 4 million in CARES.
Yes, well, I mean, it was things around electricity, technology, professional development, all those things that we reduced to be able to save all our people. We funded those level with FY20, so that was about $2.7 million.
Yep. And then my last question on the city one where it says -1 million, is that what we were talking about at the joint meeting?
That's the carryover.
Yep.
The potential carryover.
Potential,
We have to see what happens with the end of the year report once it falls out.
That's what I'm saying, so that's the reason why it's -0.6,
Yep.
but that's going to be taken up later.
Yes,
All right,
exactly.
With that, I yield. Good job with doing the budget. I think we're doing the best we can, given the time, and I want to thank the mayor for his support, getting us to 100%. With that, I yield.
Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks again for your support, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the hard work for the admin team that put this budget together, Superintendent Kevin. Kevin, I just want to try to understand the overtime salaries line item. I was just thinking, is that one of the areas that we can control more, or is that just something that that it has a life of its own?
Overtime has varied over the years, but it is technically something we can control. It's going to, I project it to be higher this year with COVID, so that's the reason why I put some dollars in there this year.
Yeah, because it's quite a change, moving in. I just wonder what we can do to tighten our belts in that line item area only,
Well, FY '20 is kind of, a one-off because of COVID and everything kind of ending in March. Overtime would have been higher when you look at the number from FY '20, but there is a little bit of money in overtime.
When you guys are budgeting for these line items, you put in so much for a particular line item, and you basically hedging back and forth, saying, is this level gonna be met, or is it gonna be, not met? Is that how that all works?
So when we put a budget together, we put all our salaries forward for folks that we have on board, and those are representative of the salary line items. All of the line items are based on history. We look at history and we look at the last, several 3 to 5 to 7 years as to what we've spent in that line item and put a placeholder in the line for each year.
I'm hoping, Mr. Superintendent, as we move forward, that's gonna be one of the areas that we could watch real closely and try to make it as efficient as possible.
Yeah, we micromanage overtime. We have for several years. We just don't know what we don't know right now, so that's why we built that cushion. I hope to be back to this committee later in the year with ways that we can spend money that we saved in that line item.
Thank you. With that, I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Anything further, guys? I just want to compliment Kevin and the superintendent and his whole crew. It's a very efficient budget.
Thank you.
I'm glad we were able to get to 100%, and going forward, I know the kids in Fall River will benefit from it, which is our main focus for all of us.
Absolutely.
Matt?
I just, final comment, I want to say that, we've done, this is my 5th year doing this here. Always a great team, always great working with the committee. I just want to thank the mayor personally for the give and take and for committing to 100. It's when those comments are made, it's on our side. It's a good place to land at, so thank you.
Okay, Kev?
Just one other question. I thought I saw an email about a nurse, adding a nurse to the budget. It's in here?
That's in there. If you read the last paragraph of the executive summary,
But it's within this?
it's in there. Yep.
I yield, thank you.
Okay, nothing further. Deb, please call the roll.
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Anything for new business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
adjourn?
Second.
Deb, please call the roll.
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes.